The moment Victor was arrested, he screamed that Lena had ruined his life, but the truth was far more disturbing. Everything that destroyed him had been written by his own hand long before she ever understood what he was doing to her. Months earlier, Lena still believed she was loved. Victor had entered her life softly, with patience and careful charm. He spoke like a man who knew where he was going, even if the road was rough. He talked about building a company from the ground up, about sacrifice now and reward later. He never rushed her, never pushed too hard, and that made him feel safe. Lena had always believed that real love was quiet and steady, not loud and demanding, and Victor fit that belief perfectly. The money requests came slowly, wrapped in shame and apology. Rent was due while an investor delayed payment. Equipment was stuck at customs. Staff salaries needed to be paid before a big deal closed. Victor always promised repayment. He always looked embarrassed when he asked. Lena told herself this was what partners did for each other. She helped once, then twice, then many times. The amounts grew, but the excuses stayed gentle. Victor talked often about marriage, about a future that would make all the struggle worth it. Lena believed him because she wanted to. Over time, her savings thinned until there was almost nothing left. Victor's life, however, improved. He moved into a better apartment. His clothes became sharper. His meals more expensive. When Lena noticed the difference, Victor smiled and said success sometimes looked uneven before it settled. He said patience was the price of greatness. Lena swallowed her doubts and paid it. The truth didn't arrive with drama. It slipped in quietly one night when Victor fell asleep with his phone unlocked beside him. A message appeared on the screen. The name meant nothing, but the words did. I miss you. When will you tell her the truth? Lena stared at the phone for a long time. She didn't wake him. She didn't cry. She memorized the name and placed the phone back exactly where it had been. From that night on, Lena watched instead of trusting. She learned Victor had another woman. Another life. Another version of the same lies. Promises of marriage, shared plans, and whispered futures were not unique to her. Lena wasn't loved. She was useful. What hurt most wasn't the betrayal itself, but how carefully it had been maintained. Still, she said nothing. Instead, Lena became patient in a new way. She recorded conversations quietly, saved messages, took screenshots of transfers and receipts. She began reading the documents Victor had rushed her through during his so-called business emergencies. He had always waved them off as boring legal protection, telling her she wouldn't understand them anyway. That assumption became his greatest mistake. Buried deep in the paperwork was a clause Victor himself had written. It stated that if his business faced legal instability, frozen assets, or investigation, a temporary proxy owner would take control of everything until matters were resolved. The name listed there was Lena's. Victor had created the clause to protect himself from former partners. He never imagined the person he was scamming would read closely enough to see it. That was the moment Lena understood the shape of the trap. Victor hadn't just scammed her. He had armed her. The plan didn't move fast. Lena let months pass. She stayed calm, smiled when expected, gave Victor just enough trust to keep him careless. Behind the scenes, she contacted the other woman anonymously. She didn't accuse or insult. She asked questions. She shared proof. Slowly, the other woman saw the pattern. She wasn't special either. She was another source of money, another future Victor had no intention of honoring. Together, without ever confronting him directly, they reported everything. Authorities had already been tracking similar complaints. Victor wasn't as clever as he believed. His accounts were flagged. His businesses audited. One morning, without warning, his assets were frozen. His cards stopped working. His properties were locked under review. Panic set in immediately. That same day, Lena activated the clause. Everything transferred legally into her name. Houses, cars, accounts, shell companies Victor thought were invisible. By the time he realized what was happening, the system had already moved beyond him. His rage came too late. His threats meant nothing. Victor was arrested 2 days later. In custody, he demanded to see Lena. He shouted her name like a spell that should still work. When she arrived, he barely recognized her. She looked calm, clear, detached. He accused her of betrayal, of cruelty, of destroying his life. He begged. He promised marriage again. He said everything could still be fixed. Lena listened without emotion. Then she told him the truth. The other woman knew everything. The money trail was complete. The clause was valid. Most of the stolen money had already been returned, not to him, but to the women he had scammed, including the woman he claimed to love. Victor's voice cracked when he asked what Lena had kept. She stood up and told him what remained was compensation. Legal. Final. Earned. As she walked away, Victor finally understood the lesson he had refused to learn. He hadn't destroyed a victim. He had trained his replacement. The silence that followed was heavier than any punishment. Lena left the building alone, not triumphant, not smiling, but free. The shame was gone. In its place was knowledge, and knowledge had saved her. Behind her, a man who believed he controlled everything learned what it meant to lose it all without a single illegal move made against him. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe.